Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody, to the Life Choices podcast. We're welcoming back a good friend of mine here, Pete Casso. How you doing?
What up?
AKA, real name is?
Peter Price.
There we go.
Yeah.
A lot of people still think it's the latter of the two.
Yeah, right. People do get confused sometimes when they Zell me after an appointment and it comes up with my name, Peter Price, and they're like,
who's that?
oh, so Casso isn't your last name? No, man.
No, it's kind of a play on
Picasso,
words.
you
Yeah.
know? But once I say it like that, then they're like, oh, I'm such an idiot, you know? But yeah, it's Picasso, but Pete.
Yeah, but
Casso.
Shout
out to Selecta Steve. Selecta Steve is the one who gave me that name.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Selecta Steve.
My
We
dog.
gotta get you on here.
100%.
Yeah, your bestie was on here.
Kayla? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's the best. Shout out Kayla Burke.
There we go. Starting the episode off with shout outs.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah. So a lot is going on in your life.
Yeah, dude, a ton. Lots of changes.
Yeah, a lot of changes. I noticed as soon as you walked in today, you're looking healthy. You look trim. I remember,
Thank you.
like a month and a half ago when I was at your shop getting ink done.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you were out of shape. You were just thicker back then.
Yeah, I was definitely probably without a doubt, the heaviest I had been in my whole life. I noticed it especially last time I was on this podcast, even just watching back the footage, seeing it in my face. And I was wearing like a little bit more of a beard at that time. So I think also maybe it took me some more time to notice it on myself because I like had the facial hair change as well. But then once I shaved one day, I was like, damn, my face is looking thick. And I hadn't really been doing a lot of work or effort, in the gym to not be putting on weight. But to be honest, most of my life, I never had to. Like, I've always had this genetic makeup where, like, I can sort of eat whatever I want, and I never put on any weight. I've, like, struggled to gain weight my whole life, when I was playing football and stuff, and I actually wanted to put on weight.
But the weight that you had was at least evenly distributed.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen you since the end of June, I think, is when we did a tattoo session, and drastically different.
Thank you.
So,
I'm
looking good.
Back to my regular weight of like 165. It's where I've like lived for a long time, and feels good. I'm sort of in grind mode right now too. I mean, having just opened the brand new shop, which I guess by the time this comes out, it'll already have been well announced. But this is really my first time saying it on a public platform because I haven't posted anything about it yet. But I just moved to a new shop, opened a brand new place, and just got the keys on the 15th of last month. So it's been basically 1 full month that I've had the new unit. Like, I have certain goals each day financially for like how much I want to make. And I, more often than not, try to come through on that. But on a day when I don't, I'm not, like, getting upset with myself over it, I'll just be grateful that, okay, today was an easy day, and I get to, like, chill a little bit, and recover. And it's not like I got to grind myself to the bone every day, because you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah, I'm on the flip side of that right now. I even had someone send me a text yesterday about finding balance, because I had to explain to someone that right now, I'm focused on my company. I'm focused on taking the Life Choices podcast to new levels every month. And that takes a lot of time when you're doing it by yourself. And my only focus is this for the next 10 years. I have a yacht job when I have to make money, but my focus is this, and I am doing it every day, 7 days. And I actually tell myself like what I have to get done. Sort of like we've talked about this in the past, like before bed, you kind of like make notes as to what you want to accomplish tomorrow. And I'm kind of leaning more towards like the Mamba mentality. Like, you've got to show up for you. You made a promise for yourself, to yourself. You got to do the fucking work. Right. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, if I don't get X done in a day, I do feel guilty when I go to bed. I don't know when the next time I'm going to get another yacht job, right? It could be 2 days from now. It could be a month from now. But I have to get at least another month, if not 2, of my podcast edited,
right,
scheduled, thumbnails, clips, posts, all that stuff. So I've given myself to the end of the month to get pretty much until like November 28th done. Right. So that's 3 months of content, podcast, everything done. That's where I have to hold myself accountable. So right now I'm on that far end of no balance whatsoever. It's just work.
And I mean, I guess, I don't know. I want to like clarify a little bit, I guess, because But I've been in there every single day since I got the keys. And, I had appointments lined up, every day in between. So I would tattoo, my appointment either early in the day or at night. And then before my tattoo, I'd be at the shop, the new space, painting, getting things ready, building walls, laying down baseboard, spackling and sanding. Like, I built the whole place out myself in the matter of the last 3 weeks during just whatever downtime I had in between my appointments. Because I was excited about this new place. I want to get it done. I want to get it ready. I want to get it open. So I definitely agree with you that when you have something you're trying to build, it's going to require, balance won't exist, and I definitely, I live like teeter-tottering on that thing of balance, where most of the time I'm pedal to the metal, and then right before that breaking point, I'll be like, okay, I'm very grateful that I'm in a position where I control my own schedule, and before I burn myself out and crash, let me just take a step back and take a day for myself or something.
Well, I think that is the actual valid point that I want people to understand. There's a I don't want to say misconception. There's two sides to everything, right? There's 7 sides to everything. But right now, a lot of people are like, oh, no, you got to have, work-life balance. And, oh, fuck no, if you're going to build something, you got to be all the time, all the fucking time.
Right.
The thing is for me, what balance is knowing when you've put in 7, 12, 18 days of just fucking hard ass work that nobody sees.
Right.
Nobody even fucking knows. And you were just at that point where like you come to that realization, you know what? I need to take the afternoon. I need to go to the beach, or I got to hit my boys up. We got to go grab a drink, or whatever that is that you do to unwind. That's where the balance is, I think, that we are both talking about.
Right. I'm not, taking 6 months to not work super hard, like I'm talking about, I might, like you just said, instead of like going through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru to get nuggets and scarf them down in my car so I can get back and put another coat of paint on, maybe I'll go to like the nice place down the street, sit down at the bar, have a beer, and enjoy my lunch and take my time, and then go back to work and put on that second coat of paint an hour later, and that's okay, and not beat myself up about it. I did that maybe one day out of the 3 weeks. Every other day was Chick-fil-A, eat it as fast as I can so I can get back to work, But it's just, I think I'm very in tune with my own mental health and body, and like when I know that there isn't value in me burning out, like I can push myself really, really far. But once I get to that burnout point, it's almost counterproductive, Then I have to shut down for a few days, and it's like I don't want to do anything because I pushed myself too far. So I'd rather just be in check with my own mind and, like, be able to just kind of do what you just said, take a step back and recover and go back to work. That's really all it is.
And I think that's easier for people like you and I, because we are at stages in our lives where we have actually done the inner looking at ourselves, and we've learned about who we are as an individual, and we know where our mental health sits. We know when it's out of whack and when it's really good. So anyone, out there listening or watching, it's up to you to find out where your mental health lines, where it lays. And then when you're going after anything, I personally think the voices that say you got to be full on all the time, it's fucking true. Like, there's no one's going to be helping you along your way to build whatever it is that you're doing. Sure, you might have support here and there, but when it comes down to it, it's on your shoulders. Right. If you want to be successful, you have to put the time and effort into it, but you need to know when to kind of back up and say, hey, I need to go get a beer, or I just need to go for a 15-minute walk. Right.
Because if you burn yourself into the ground, like I said, I think it's counterproductive. You're not going to be putting out your best work either.
Life is everything that we do, whether it is personal life, work life, relationship life. We have to be strategically thinking and strategically reacting.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a big thing. So I have a topic I want to talk about. If you don't want to talk about it, we'll just cut it out, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But I had a guest on here. Shout out to Genesty. She has a podcast on Spotify. And she talks about relationships. That's her whole thing. They're not long all the time. They're like sometimes 7 minutes, 5 minutes, and a lot of it is the female's point of view of it.
Yeah.
And being that we're both men, obviously, we've both been in relationships before. Yeah. And again, another topic that I want to have regularly with my guests who are men. We don't typically talk about our relationships out loud too often.
Yeah, right.
I'm fortunate that with the men that I associate with, we do from time to time open up to each other about situations, usually when the bomb's gone off.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
but you know, it's still good to be able to have that outlet with another man, to get a point of view. Or relationships are tough. So let's dive into this, because I know, you know, you have mentioned a few things because we had to postpone recording. A big reason also, men not much different than women when it comes to our weight, is, you know, relationships also add a little bit to it, like we already agreed.
Right,
when you're in one, you get comfortable, you gain weight. When you're out of one, it's, hey, let's get back to that shape that we had.
100%.
Because we're back out fishing. Maybe not fishing, but
sure.
You know, so
focusing on yourself at the very least.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it. Where you at? What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. So for those, again, this is coming out in a few months, so maybe it won't be as much of a shock to everyone hearing it then. But yeah, JoJo and I are no longer together. I'm down to talk about a little bit, because I think there's definitely some stuff that I'm going to take away from this and hopefully work on personally. You know,
yeah. Well, what I want to do is I'm not asking the question to point blame on either side.
Sure.
It's more the question of, you're a man, you're no longer in a relationship with someone that you had spent a long period of time with. More talking about how you're doing with that new information.
Yeah.
You know, obviously when a relationship ends, we react a certain way as soon as it happens. Once we think about it, and if we're mature enough to kind of analyze our part in it and their part in it, we then start thinking differently about it a week, a month, whatever later. So that's more of the kind of conversation I want to have with you.
Yeah. I, you know, at this point that we're talking now, it's probably been about 7 to 10 days since her and I like really had the difficult conversation where I realized we're probably not going to come back from this. So I've had a long time. I mean, I've had some time to process it, you know. And at this point, I've kind of come to terms and have accepted it, and I'm trying to do what I've always conditioned my brain to do, which is like look at the positive and try to like find the bright side. And like something that we talk about all the time with business or podcasting, whatever, there aren't like, there's no failures. It's just lessons, right? When something doesn't work out, it isn't necessarily that you failed, or that you need to give up. It's, you know, how can we learn from this and be better moving forward?
As an individual, and later on down the line as a partner.
Sure, right. You know, me personally, and then also, you know, for whenever the next time comes, what did I do wrong in this situation that I can, you know, not make that same mistake twice? So yeah, something I think I'm taking away from this, to answer your question first of like, where am I at mentally? Now I'm kind of like getting to the point where I'm excited. I don't want to, I'm hesitant to say the word excited, because it makes it sound like, I'm not sad that this relationship ended, which I totally am. I was for several days, you know, and I think it's still sad to me that like we couldn't figure it out or work it out, because I think with communication it probably could have gone differently. But now I'm trying to look forward to just like having a fresh start, getting back to like focusing on myself, my health, my fitness. Used to be very OCD and clean and like routine oriented, and a lot of that stuff has just gotten away from me over the years because you know, just getting comfortable in the relationship I was with, you know. And I think like something that we hopefully all do in relationships is there's got to be like some give and take, right? You know, like if I go into a relationship knowing that I have certain characteristics that aren't in common with everyone else, but I'm not willing to budge at all, then it's going to be hard to be compatible with many people, you know, unless you find that perfect match that has everything exactly in common with you, you know. One of those things where like JoJo, it's not like she's a slob or anything, but she isn't OCD and like crazy like I am. And so it was one of those things that I kind of just, instead of getting angry about it every day and being like, I can't believe this girl left a dish in the sink, which is a normal human being thing to do. I'm just a freak and wash every dish as soon as I make it and put it away and dry it, you know, like, but that's not normal. And I know that. So I just kind of, that was one of those things that I stopped doing that and stopped being that way for the sake of like not driving myself crazy, you know, but now I'm kind of excited to get back to that way because now I've got my own place and it's all myself, you know, and
I can relate to that because for a better word, I'll use dating. I was dating this girl a couple weeks back, and I would make those comments when I was in her house because like I wouldn't say anything, right? and then she'd make a comment about like being clean or whatever, and I would just like I would do one of these. I'd be like,
yeah.
And then she'd look at me and be like, "What?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, but I'm doing my laundry right now." I was like,
I cleaned the house today.
Yeah, every time I'm there, every time I was there, I was like, "There's always something in the sink.
That's funny.
There's
man.
always laundry somewhere."
Right.
And again, that's just like the difference. Like for me, when I had my own house, it like even my laundry, like when I take the laundry out of the dryer, I put it in my basket and I'll put it in my room. And sometimes I'll leave it in the basket on the floor for like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Where when I lived by myself, it was never, it was folded, it was hung, it was done.
Right.
But again, you're saying so that I don't drive myself crazy and so I don't like become, on his nerves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You kind of, you loosen up a little bit.
There's got to be some give and take or like some compromise, in order for there to be like not hostility.
I mean, listen, this kid takes care of me in so many ways. Like when I'm going through like financial woes and whatnot, because like jobs come and go for me. I lean on him a lot for certain aspects. Like, he'll take care of like dinners a lot, what have you. And then I'll do the laundry. I'll do all the dishes.
Yeah, right.
I don't give a shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's not like you're keeping tabs in your head. Like he owes me now.
Absolutely not. And vice versa, not at all. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where I'm lucky. Like the small group of friends that I have, we don't keep tabs. We just do shit for each other to make sure everyone's okay. I don't want to get off this topic yet though. So when it comes to you as a man, and having emotions, and you guys were together for how long?
3 years.
Wow, fuck.
Yeah.
3 years comes to an end. How do you react to your emotions?
Yeah, this was to be honest, this was a hard one. But also like the least toxic it could be, which was really nice. I've been in relationships in the past that I couldn't say the same about, and it was more on the toxic end for sure. I'm super grateful for JoJo and the fact that, she's being very mature and, we're cool, everything's going to be all good, I think. Which makes it a little easier, it's not like a personal attack or like, I don't know. Does that make sense what I'm saying? She's not going out trying to hurt my feelings or make me feel some type of way. And
no one's trying to be vindictive.
Yeah, no. So it's made it very easy, I think, on the emotional end. For the first couple of days, I was very sad, dude. Like,
so whenever it actually came to fruition, I guess you could say that 3 years is not working out.
Yeah.
Not even like, hey, this is done, we're done, because that obviously comes after a week or two of trying to change a little bit, save it or what have you. But the initial of, oh fuck, as a man, we typically could go either way. Fuck it, I don't give a shit, I'm out of here. Or yo, babe, like, let's like, here, let me try to how did you as a man at first moment react to the emotion of fuck, this is over?
To be honest, I felt really bad because without saying too much, JoJo is the one that brought a lot of the things to my attention. She's the one that was having an issue. I kind of thought everything was going fine in our relationship, which, is also a sign that maybe I was more checked out than I thought I was. If she could be as upset as she was and have all these problems in our relationship that she had and I had no idea, then maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, So I want to take accountability for that too. But, when she started listing all these things that I wasn't doing for her, things that, boxes I wasn't checking and, reasons why she felt like this wasn't working, it's easy for that to feel like a personal attack, because it all starts with you didn't do this or you're not doing this. And it's easy for that to not feel good. I mean, it doesn't feel good, obviously.
It's interesting. Obviously, men and women, the way we think is completely different. And at times when we are busy with creating something for ourselves, I can admit my own accountability, especially right now. I tell any girl that I start dating, I ain't got time for you. Just straight up. I ain't got time for you. This is where my head's at. This is what I'm doing every single fucking day. And that's it. So I know like I have bad characteristics currently right now in this moment for anyone to date because I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
But we get blinded by our own routine, and then maybe we aren't showing up appropriately for the partner.
Right.
Maybe not. It could very well be the opposite of that, which is, hey, I'm building a fucking thing here. Just wait.
Right.
Be supportive and fucking wait.
And understand that it's not that I don't love you or that I don't want these things for us. In my mind, I'm building this future for us. You know, if I put in all this work now, then think about how easy our life is going to be in just a couple years. You know, is where my mind is at. But on the flip side, they can be sitting at home thinking, man, he is building this thing for himself, you know, and look at this future, how excited he is to build this future for himself. Because if we don't vocalize that we want them to be a part of it, maybe they don't just assume, you know. And so that's exactly where I realize I've fallen short, you know, and it goes both ways. Again, I don't want to point any fingers at JoJo while I say this because she's not here to defend herself, but communication in general is, I think, where we fell short, you know. And that probably goes for a lot of relationships that don't work out. Communication is such an important part of it. But I think another thing that, you know, I could have done better, which led to the poor communication, is like being from the restaurant industry for so long and, you know, starting managing at such a young age. I always felt like, how can I add the most value? You know, because I'm sort of like the underdog in any situation that I was in at in the restaurant business. Because when I was managing at 19, you're not being taken super serious, you know, until you earn the respect or, you know, the reason to be taken serious. And so I was always just trying to see how I could add the most value. And so instead of being the guy in the meeting that's just pointing out all the problems, I'm trying to bring solutions to the table, you know, because that, you know, it's easy to just sit in a room and say, yeah, we should fix that and that needs to be different. But then how do we go about doing that, you know? So I think that got ingrained in me at a really young age. And I've sort of operated with that mentality and like adopted that mindset for my whole life, you know. For now, when I've got anxiety about something, instead of just feeling anxious, which obviously I do, but I think, what's triggering this? Because there's something that caused the anxiety. It's probably I'm procrastinating something that I need to get done, and the deadline's getting closer, and it's making me feel some type of way. You know, whatever it is, let's look at what's the problem and what's the solution, and that almost immediately will make me start feeling better if I start working on the solution, you know? But if you just ignore it and you keep pushing it off, the feelings kind of compound.
Makes total sense. Something that I've more recently started to come into realization through researching and watching other people have these conversations. First off, it's important that I believe it's important as men that we have these conversations, not just with each other, but in a forum like this so that other men can see. We all go through it, and relationships are tough, and you do have to think of all angles from it. It's never about who's right or wrong.
Right.
My new knowledge is what you said earlier, is the compatibility factors. Two people come together because they believe that all those check marks, all those compatible things are lining up. And as years go on, months, years, whatever, if those compatibility markers are falling off for one of the parties, then that's what it is. Right. It's not someone being evil, now in my opinion, and not your situation.
Sure.
As long as there's no cheating, stealing, or lying, you know what I'm saying? Then it's just that. And we are human, so we take things personally, but we need to learn how not to take it personally when a relationship ends, because it's just simply one person is feeling that what they're looking for isn't all being taken care of anymore. Right. And it's shitty.
But it's also okay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, that it's okay that a relationship ends, because
you may not be the perfect fit forever, and that's okay.
And you can wish the person all the best, and sure, maybe a friendship isn't going to be there right away. Down the line, hopefully you can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Cordial in public. You know, if there was ever a shit situation like a pop tire or God forbid a death in the family, like, yo, hit me up.
Of course.
You know, I'm there for you regardless. We had 3 years of our life together. I'm not going to cut you off altogether if you haven't done any of these like horrible things. You know, I was dating someone in my past, and I knew I wasn't Mr. Right for her, because I knew where I was at and what I was trying to get done. And I told her, go find Mr. Right. I'm totally fine with it. I'm not going to get upset until you find him. We have fun together.
Yeah, right.
We have this comfortability of being able to be vulnerable. And what I mean by that is vulnerability to me is not the naked sex that happens. Vulnerability to me is divulging personal information to somebody that you do in the confines of just the two of you. And since I felt comfortable enough with that person to share information about my past, present, future, why throw that away just because I'm not Mr. Right?
Yeah, right.
That's just the way my brain works.
It's not like it's getting in the way of anything else yet, and until it
and,
does.
And if you don't like it, if you can't handle that aspect of it, of I don't want to be your Mr. Right because I don't fit what you're saying you want, then you tell me when you're done with it. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not going to get upset.
I get it.
And worst case scenario, if something happens, you need my hand, just give me a call. I'll help you out.
I think so to finish the point that I was going to make about what I was saying from my mentality from the restaurant business and having that very problem and solution oriented mindset, I've come to realize through these conversations I've had with Joe the last few weeks that that's another thing that I want to work on moving forward, is realizing that not everyone's brain works that way. And when someone comes to you with a problem, especially your girlfriend or, someone close to you that's trying to vent sometimes, they may not always be looking for that solution, or such a logical way of thinking. They just kind of need someone to be there for them emotionally and say, okay, I understand. I'm sorry that happened. It's going to be okay. And just, rub their back and comfort them, And I think that's where I probably have fallen short for JoJo in a lot of areas, because my brain just hasn't been programmed that way typically. She comes to me with anxiety or a problem, and I go, okay, well, what do you think's causing the anxiety? Okay, yeah, no problem. Here's what we're going to do. And I just immediately go into problem-solving mode, thinking, okay, and doing it with the best intentions, thinking this is how I'm going to help her. She doesn't have to feel anxious about this, because this is exactly all we have to do to fix the problem is this, And that's what I think I'm doing is helping. But for her, it's fuck, he's doing it again. I just want him to be there for me, and say it's okay and he understands. Where instead it feels like I'm like, nah, come on, man, it's okay. Get over it. We can fix this easy, And it's I'm almost dismissing her emotions by trying to get to the solution, And I don't do it.
You're not doing it maliciously.
Not maliciously. It's thinking, because that's the way I've trained myself. It's I don't want to dwell on the emotion that makes me feel bad. Let me just start working on the solution so I can start feeling better. I don't want to dwell on the emotion. But I got to realize my way of thinking isn't everyone's way of thinking.
But also, generalizing, men and women think differently.
Yeah.
Men typically react with logic.
Right.
Women tend to react with emotion.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing for us men. And I'm saying us as in you and I, because I'm built the same way. When being confronted with those conversations, I'm more willing to give the logical answer to it than realize that right now what they need is that comforting warmth, hug, and just sitting there quietly. Where for me, if I did that, I'd be awkward. I'd be it sounds silly because you're with someone for 3 years. Maybe I wouldn't be awkward, but I've been out of relationships for so long.
Yeah.
The last relationship I had ended realistically the day it started. But realistically it ended, I want to say sometime 2015, before I left for a trip that took me away for most of 2016. So that's a long fucking time. That's 8 years. So when that situation happens and someone needs emotional connection of sympathy, I would be that awkward side hug person, even though that's my person. That's I've been out of practice.
Yeah, right.
And my mind has been developed over 45 years to be a certain way. So for me, going into a new relationship, or even if I'm just sleeping with someone and I'm looking at just sleeping with them for a period of time, because it is what it is until it isn't.
Yep.
That's the information I have to give them now. Right at the front, this is how I am and this is who I am.
Right.
If I was ever if I was ever willing to be in a relationship with someone, I know I would together grow as a unit. But as an individual of 45 years old, I am who I am now.
Right.
But this is who I am. So, you kind of have to choose. Like, don't try to change me.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest pet peeve in relationships. Don't get into a relationship with me thinking you're going to change me into Mr.
What you
Right.
want. Yeah. And I agree. And I think I like my mind working the way it does. I like the way I've conditioned myself to think. And I agree. I don't want anyone to try and change me. But what I'm willing to do is, if I'm talking to someone, whether that is a future girlfriend, even just a friend, if I'm talking to you, and I realize that my way of getting the point across, or my solution-based way of thinking, if it's not receptive to you, and it's not getting through to you, and it isn't helping, even if my intentions are to help, if I see that it isn't, then I need to be able to identify that and go, okay, let me back off, and maybe I can offer the empathy, even if I know in my head, like, this isn't the best way to handle it. But if it's what the person wants, then maybe I can be that person for them too by identifying it, and that's what I kind of think I want to work on is, like, I agree with you. I don't necessarily think I need to change, and I don't want anyone to try and change me. But if I see that my way of thinking isn't receptive, or isn't being perceived, or isn't getting through to that person, then maybe I can adjust to speak their love language, or whatever that it is that I'm trying to get through to them,
Or whatever it is that they need.
Whatever they need.
Yeah, well, what you're saying is a very valid point, is, being self-aware is important, knowing how you would react to the situation, knowing how you would give advice or you would give help to that person, but also being environmentally aware, not as in being green, but as in
being able to read the room.
What is happening here. Yeah. But typically, especially amongst men, it tends to be the individual who's needing the help or needing the conversation will come to you eventually and open up that conversation, which you'll definitely clearly know, okay, they actually want my impression or my thoughts on the situation because they know who I am and the angle in which I would read it. Yeah. And usually that's not going to be in a group forum. Right. That's going to be in a one-on-one situation, because men have this thing where, we're not allowed to talk about a lot of things. And that's why I'm on the side of, yes, let's talk about fucking everything. Yeah. This podcast today has been primarily about the relationship, which is fine. Totally. It's something that people need to, those who think we are foolish for having these conversations in an open forum can go fuck themselves. Yeah, it's okay. They're not my demographic. Yeah. It's the people that actually appreciate this conversation being had, both men and women. Yeah. Because women can see a man's point of view from the situation, and men can see, oh, maybe I should talk to my buddy about this. Yeah, right. Because the worst thing that could happen is you keep it all bottled up, and that becomes anger, or frustration, or depression, and worse things can happen to you physically and mentally if you don't have that forum to have the conversation. That happens so easy too. When you have those feelings and you bottle them up inside, especially for a person like me, where, like, I have a lot of internal dialogue. I'm talking, I think, to myself most of the day, in my head, problem solving constantly, and I think a lot of us have that internal dialogue, right? And if your head is consumed with resent or, like, bad thoughts towards somebody else, and you're spending your day having that argument in your head, I know we've all done it before. I catch myself doing it. You'll be driving in the car and you're having a full-blown argument with someone in your head that they don't even know this thing you're arguing about is a problem that exists, and you're just fucking tearing into them, trying to make your point in your head. I'll get in a fucking bad mood doing it, And you don't even notice that you got from where you were driving to where you needed to get. Blacked out. You don't even know that. You're aware of what you're doing. You're driving and you're paying attention, not causing that. But that whole time you get there and you're like, holy fuck, I just yelled at that person for 20 minutes in my brain. Right. Yeah. And it's toxic for yourself, there's no point in spending your energy doing that. But it takes practice to understand that and to notice that it's happening, because it's still going to happen regardless how many years that I'm still aware of it. Absolutely. But it'll happen less. It'll happen for shorter periods of time. You'll catch it and cut it off. Yeah. But it's I forget why I brought that up. What was the point that I was making? No idea.
Me neither. I forget.
We'll figure that out in editing. But it's a valid point, and I think a few people watching this would have been lost for about a minute and a half there. But then once they realize, like, oh fuck, I've done that too.
Yeah.
And it can ruin your day. Like,
Yeah,
you
100%.
can spend your whole day in your head pissed off at someone else that you're not even articulating it to.
Right. They don't know that anything is wrong at all.
They don't know. They don't care.
Right.
And
you're
then-
letting it compound and get worse and worse because you keep talking about it with yourself.
Yeah. And then you go and hang out with your friends and you're in a shit mood and they see that, hopefully they notice that energy and they're just like, yo, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Oh, I think that was the point, was like being able to talk to your boys and
Yes.
being able to talk about these things. And I think it is so important because a lot of the times, if you're not having that argument in your head, or you can have the argument in your head for the first time to like establish your argument and where you stand. But then when you go to talk to your friends about it, and they're like, "Dude, you're kind of overreacting. I get where she's coming from," or maybe you don't. You get other perspectives brought to your attention where when you're just having the dialogue with yourself, you win every time because you just keep validating your own points.
Or what's worse is you want to run down that rabbit hole of depression and anger, and everything you say is purposely being said so you get more fucking pissed off. So you're
Right.
like, fuck that person.
You just validate the
That's
shitty
it.
feelings, right?
Yeah.
Where sometimes that outside perspective is all you need for someone to be like, dude, I think maybe you're overthinking it a little bit, I don't think it's that big. Or just say something to him, see if that's actually how he feels. And I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. I have a handful of people that I will call when I'm excited about something, I'm upset about something, I'm about to make a big purchase or something. I have a couple people that I will call and just like vent to, because then, and they know that I'm not necessarily going to take their advice or whatever, it's just me hearing more perspectives so that I can collect all of these opinions and then make my own educated decision based off all these different perspectives that I got,
They're people you respect.
Right.
They're people that you probably assume have gone through similar situations and that have validity to what they're going to then give you as advice or suggestions. And you make your own decision after the fact.
But I think that's important, having some people that you can talk to like that. And I guess to get back to the point you were making, like, I think that's why it is good that we talk about stuff like this on camera, because maybe everyone doesn't have a friend in their phone that they can call and talk about things like that too, or they don't feel comfortable talking like that with someone. But if we've said anything that maybe is relatable to the way that they're feeling, they can realize, oh, I'm not the only one.
You're not by yourself out there.
Yeah, 100%.
We're all humans. We all go through emotions. I've said this time and time again. We don't have control over 99% of our lives. One thing we don't have control over is our emotion, but we have control over our reaction to that emotion.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone out there, and I've said this before, the email's down here, my email, reach out to us. If this is something that you're quite intrigued by and maybe you need to get something off your chest, shoot me an email. I'll respond back to you. More than happy to do that.
Something that you said earlier that I want to circle back on because I just really liked it, is that especially in relationships, it really isn't about who's right and wrong, because sometimes like there even isn't like a right or wrong based on the perspective. In my opinion, I might be right and I could justify why, but in her opinion, she could be totally right too for her own reasons, and if you're wanting to like make the relationship work and stay together, I think there has to be that compromise, and it can't be about winning and losing the argument. It has to just be more like seeing it from the other person's perspective and trying to understand why they feel the way they feel. And even if it doesn't make sense to you, just being able to say, okay, I feel you and I'm sorry, but when you have that mentality of like, my point is valid and I'm right, so I refuse to budge from that. I won't apologize because I know my point makes sense and I'm correct. Which, again, having the logical brain, I'm saying this because I'm guilty of it. I've caught myself so many times refusing to, like, give in because I'm like, no, if everyone I explain it to says I'm right, I know it makes perfect logical sense. When I spell it out like this, why would we have done that, right? And everyone's like, yeah, no, I get it. But if this is your person that you want to be with, you have to be able to like compromise, I think,
1,000%.
And
you cannot have a successful relationship, and I'm guessing because I'm also at fault for this of having to be right all the time. You cannot have a successful relationship if it's about winning and losing.
Right.
It just won't happen.
Yeah.
If it's a constant competition when you're in a relationship, right and wrong constantly coming up, you're never going to be successful. It's not going to work out. You're 100% correct. You have to be willing, even at times, to concede to the other person and be like, you know what, 100% I'm wrong.
And I think it's because of the thing we were saying earlier, where it isn't always about logical, and sometimes it's about emotional, you know?
And we as men can learn how to become more emotional.
Right.
Even the most emotional of us men
Right.
can become better at emotional with our partner because they are definitely built in that arena.
Yeah. And I think that's something you need to be willing to do if you're serious about wanting to have a relationship and make it work. And that's what I'm realizing, you know?
Well, like we were saying, like it's not winning or losing. It's even, we both have kind of sent this message out there. Even when you lose at times, you put two of those together and you got yourself a win.
Yeah. And there's been plenty of arguments that I felt like I won. And then, but things didn't get better, you know? So did I actually win? You know, at the end of the argument, she can say, okay, you're right. I get it. You know, you're right. And then I go, okay, good. Yeah, she gets it, you know?
Yeah.
But then she's pissed, you know, and things don't actually get better. The problem still occurs. And so it's like, well, is that even, if we didn't have any understanding, was it even a win? You know, and I think that's maybe what it comes down to, is it's not about winning and losing. It's about understanding each other at the end of the conversation.
Absolutely.
And you can have two different opinions and feel like you both are correct for feeling the way you felt, as long as you can understand why the other person felt that way, so you can avoid making them feel that way again.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. I'm going to circle back on a topic from a few sentences ago when it comes to like your small group of friends and going to them with, you know, conversation and trying to figure out like, you know, am I valid? Do I have points here?
Yeah.
And this is a great way to figure out whether or not you should keep the same circle of friends or not. Mm-hmm. If you have a group of people that will just always say, oh, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Oh, no, that was, you know, that's not really truth. You know what I'm saying? You need those friends that will hold you accountable and straight up tell you, dude, you were being a fucking dickhead.
Right.
Or, dude, that was not the right way to fucking handle that. Mm-hmm. Those are the people, and as much as that's going to sting, because it's like you're coming to your boys for validation almost, like you did everything right. No, motherfucker, you're a human being.
Yeah.
You probably did something wrong there. You probably articulated it in the wrong way. Did you say that, but in a sarcastic tone?
Right,
like
100%.
all of these things.
Oof.
And that's where a small group of friends that you can be honest with and they will call you out on your shit is important.
So important.
Yeah.
I think that's what you just said is a big one too. Like, I'm guilty of it as well, where like I can have the right point and I can be articulating my thoughts the right way and be making the right point, and I can feel like I'm correct. But if you say it mean, you know, or you choose to yell because you've gotten yourself worked up at this point in the conversation, it comes through a lot less clear. You could be making a perfectly clear point, but when you start yelling it or using swear words, it dilutes the message, you know? And I think a lot of these times, if I am approaching the conversation logically and I know that like there's validity to what I'm saying, I shouldn't have to raise my voice to make the point. And I've found that the point gets across much clearer if I say it calmly and respectfully, you know, versus yelling and authoritatively. It almost like deafens the person receiving the message because they're just like, holy shit, he's so mean, you know?
The best way to get your message across in any scenario, and it's kind of funny, the calm explanation,
right?
The calm tone of voice,
yeah,
will hit home harder regardless of how they're reacting to you talking calmly.
Right.
In other types of relationships, work relationships, I always have a boss, I always have a captain that, you know, supersedes my powers, I guess you'd say. Mm-hmm. They get real riled up if you just, oh, okay, I get it. No, you're 100% correct. I apologize. I will do that for you next time. Yeah. Promise you won't see that again. Mm-hmm. They don't, like, a person typically doesn't know how to react to that non-aggression.
Right.
What I'm very, very aware of that I've done in my past relationships is I have a thick layer of sarcasm sometimes. And even if I'm conceding to them and saying, oh, no, you're right, I'm wrong, it's delivered in a way in which I just put more fuel on the fire, because I am saying it without noticing in a sarcastic tone. Or it's like, yeah, I'm wrong, babe. 100% correct.
Right.
You're right. And that whole tone is just like definitely not winning.
Right.
That's just a whole fucking, that's just more kaboom about to happen. It's a fair bit there on relationships.
Yeah, I like that though. That was that felt good for me. Hopefully it added some value to somebody. And I can't reiterate enough. Like I hope I was nothing but respectful to JoJo with everything I just said.
And again,
it's nothing but love for her.
Yeah, no, what we just talked about was not even about her as an individual.
Right.
It's the situation that we're talking about, and that's what I want people to come on the show and feel comfortable talking to me about. Is we're not looking for blame on anybody.
Yeah,
It's more of a therapeutic session anyways for the individual in that chair to get stuff off their chest in a way in which that our viewership and listeners can appreciate what's being said and can take some resources out of it to implement into their life to live better, and maybe in this situation is to be more successful in a relationship. There's nothing but love.
Yeah, good.
Going to JoJo, there's no nothing but. That's the way you expressed it. You didn't use anything specific. You just expressed how you're feeling and how you reacted to certain things, and how we as humans and as men know what we lack, and where we can be better in a relationship. And all we can hope is after a relationship ends that we do heal rather quicker. Yeah, healing from a 21-year-old breakup to a now 28 is a lot different.
Hell yeah.
Let me tell you, 45, don't even get into the situation, so I don't have to worry about the healing. But yeah, as men, we need these forums to talk about them. We need to have people that we can talk to just feel better afterwards, and to move forward, always looking at the positives. I think you have a great outlook on it. There's nothing about winning or losing. It's just, how can I now become a better person in the future, and how can I become a better partner, down the line for the next relationship. 100%.
And I mean, I don't want to say, I'm so hesitant to use the word excited because it makes it sound like, but I'm looking forward to the person that I'm going to be now. Like working on myself is an exciting thing to think about because I haven't been doing that for a while. And like, I know how powerful I can get when I'm so dialed and focused on myself, when I'm writing in my notebook every day, when I'm going through my routines, when I am in the gym, when I make the time, because I have the time, it's just I don't make the time because I get content with my body or the situation or what I'm putting in an adequate amount of work right now. But now it's like I'll have nothing but the time to myself, and I'm going to focus on
capitalize on it.
Getting myself dialed is exciting.
Stuff. And I'm at a point in my life right now that I'm guessing and hoping that I'm only halfway through. 45, maybe I can get to 90. Yeah. I think I can, as long as I live my life appropriately. I show up for me. I'm accountable for me. I do things like eating right, walking, exercising, meditating, gratitude lists. I do that at night, praying, all these things, all of them together on a daily basis of regular routine. That is your discipline, and it's hard, and don't think it's going to happen overnight. Like I am now implementing more disciplines and more self-motivations for myself because I've been inspired by other people who have accomplished massive goals because they set out for themselves to be that level of success. And every day I'm going to try and be better than I was yesterday. I'm going to try to do a little bit more work on my company, a little bit more work on me. If the right person comes along, I'll do a little bit more effort on a relationship. But it is the continuous daily discipline that you allow yourself to accomplish. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. On.
The only limitation is yourself.
Right. The effort that you put in.
Yeah. That alarm goes off. You limit yourself if you just turn it off and go back to bed.
Right.
I woke up at 4:59 today. 4:59. Now, I don't regularly sleep all through the night.
Yeah.
I actually, since January, now I can say about 6 times I've slept the whole night, which is fucking amazing for me. And I woke up at 4:59 and I was kind of like, no, I can't be halfway through the night. I was like, it felt longer than that. So I looked at my phone. It said 4:59 and I turned the alarm off and I got out of bed.
Yeah.
Now, normally I would have just, fuck it, and then snooze for 10 minutes. I said, fuck no, I'm getting up. And it's those little steps that you can do every day that will implement what's the thing? The only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. And that little extra is what most people don't want to fucking do.
Right.
And if you're looking at your life right now and thinking like, fuck, why am I here? And I see everyone else up here.
Yeah.
Those people that are up there, they're doing that little extra.
100%.
You know, you just built out your entire studio by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have your own studio. You know, that's because you got up every day and you fucking did it.
Right.
You didn't have to. You could have taken months to do it. You could have went back to tattooing at your house.
Yeah.
Totally been fine. Totally would have made money. Your client still would have come. Still would have made money.
Right.
But you were like, fuck that. I'm going there. I'm painting. I'm going there. I'm stuccoing. I'm going to build the walls. Everything. Because you chose to do that little extra. And that's what people need to understand. It takes a long fucking time.
100%.
But you have to add a little extra into every fucking day. And before you know it, you're going to be checking off wins. More than you can even imagine.
I'm still like such a student of the game, even tattooing full time, you know, and owning my own shop. It's still like I want to constantly get better. And on the flip side of that coin, and like to the same point you were just making, there's people who have been tattooing for 6 years that are way less developed in their career than I am. And it's not saying any shade to them or anything, but it's a direct result of the effort that I put in. I've grinded towards this I eat, sleep, and breathe tattooing every day, you know, and that is why I get the results that I get, because it's a craft that I work on every day and I put in the effort. And even though I'm doing really good tattoos and people are happy with the work that I put on them, I know I can get better still, and I still have more to learn, and I'm hungry for more. And that hunger translates into the progression. That's why I'm at the stage that I'm at 3 years into my career. It's not normal. If you put in the effort and you become obsessed with the process, and it's not like it's been fun the whole time. It's not like easy. I'm very grateful for what I do. It's like the best career I could ever ask for. It's fun most of the time. But there's a lot of hard parts, you know, and there's a lot of shitty stuff that goes into it. And it's not all easy. But if you become obsessed with it, whatever it is you do, it's almost the requirement to be great, you know.
1,000%. Every goat.
If you don't go into it with obsession or the passion to like be really, really fucking good at what you're doing, it's like almost not even worth pursuing. And I'm not even talking about tattooing anymore. Like anything. Whatever you're gonna do, if you don't want to be like the best or like up there with the best, why waste your time?
And a great way to look at life is, if you're going to be obsessed about what it is you're building or your job, your career, and you see the successes come in with that obsession, with that undoubtable work ethic of becoming the best at that, imagine if you implement those practices into your everyday living.
Right.
Like, become the best, healthiest person you can be for you.
Yeah.
And
obsess over it.
Yeah. Like study. Like, don't just do shit because you think it's the right. Like, learn about it. Like, why are you doing those exercises? Why are you eating those foods? Like, for just example, like at the gym, if you want something bad enough and you obsess over it and you just do it over and over and over, and it will take time. 3 years. Right. It wasn't year one. It wasn't year and a half. You're 3 years at the point where you have a steady clientele and constant new clients coming in, and you have a second new studio that you've outfitted. You know, that's what I think we need to let people understand more in these conversations, is the dedication and the obsession that you need to have in any aspect of your life. But if you have it, the successes will show up. We're going to wrap it up.
Yes,
because we've already had quite a lot here that I'm going to be trimming down from this podcast. It's always so enjoyable talking with you, Pete. We just have such a good conversation.
Likewise. I
didn't even get to I think maybe one of the topics I wanted to talk about, which was the relationships. Otherwise, you know, we could sit here for 5 hours. So yet again, I will invite you back again in the future for a shot on season 3.
I'd love that.
This will be season 2's episode. yeah, just genuinely thank you for sharing with us, because I know it's hard sometimes for people to like just be vulnerable on camera, but I appreciate it. All of our listeners and our audience watching us here on YouTube, I'm sure is appreciative, and I'm sure they've gotten some good resources out of it. So
I hope so. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we look forward to having you on here again. To all of my lifers out there who've been here from the beginning, I want to thank you once again, like I do every week, just genuinely from my heart. I appreciate the growth that this channel is having. If you are new to the channel, please just hit subscribe, become a lifer. All of our Instagram and all of our social medias are down here below. The email is as well if you want to reach out and have a conversation with me. If you want to come and join and be a guest on the show, just again, shoot me an email. All of Pete's info is also down below here if you want to go see him at the tattoo shop. You're more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
Just, yeah, everyone, thank you so much for coming back every single week and watching us here Tuesdays at 2 on the Life Choices podcast. We'll see you next week.
Before you cut it, I want to give you some credit as well.
Oh, okay.
I got to say, man, I've been really enjoying the content. Thank you for making me a part of this, from season 1 and inviting me back, and coming in today and seeing all the improvements you've made to the set, how much of the behind the scenes work you've taken on yourself. It's really impressive and admirable, and I want to give you some credit on camera, because I know those are things that people watching don't get to see, and they may not even understand how much effort it takes to put out the content and do what you're doing. But I definitely see it and notice it, and I hope you keep it up, man, because it's going to pay off for you.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. You're one of those few people in this world that I respect, and so that means an absolute lot to me. So thank you very much for that.
Of course.
For everyone out there, we'll see you here next week, Tuesday at 2 on the Life Choices podcast.
Peace.
Much love.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.